All right. So if you guys actually win this, how are you going to navigate the most likely massive sea of Republicans and Democrats who are still going to be controlling Congress? How are you going to handle that? Also, what type of cabinet are you envisioning? Are you envisioning using people who have been in Washington and bringing in outsiders, or would it be a completely libertarian cabinet, or are you going to try to find people from the right and left, like Tulsi Gabbard and Rand Paul, people who kind of can have crossover with us and bring them
Right.
in? How are you going to attack that if you guys actually win this thing?
So I would defer to Joe on specific names for the cabinet, but I think in general, we stop with the experts. We're told, are you going to consult with the experts? And I think, you mean the people that screwed all this up and then
Right.
have the sheer, I mean, you got to admit, they have the nerve. They have some serious chutzpah that then they show them, they go, well, I know we screwed up with this, but we've totally figured out the problem. And it
Right.
just so happens that we need more money. I
Right.
know you're shocked, but it just turns out we need more money. So no, but in general, we're going to be looking more towards people who have been on the ground, who have seen, and whether this is military education, whatever else, people have actually seen what's happening and have a greater grasp. The expert class has demonstrated itself to be a self-serving class for the most part. Doesn't mean they don't know what they're talking about, but I mean sometimes they know what they're talking about and they still push things they know don't work.
Right.
And so, but I would defer to her on specific names and things like that for the cabinet. The question of how to deal with the likely Republican supermajority. The silver lining to the fact that Congress has been abdicating their responsibility to the executive branch for the past several decades in the form of creating one new regulatory agency, one new alphabet soup agency after the next, and giving them largely unlimited regulatory authority in various sectors. So the ATF and the FDA and the DEA and the FBI and the DHS and the HHS and the CDC and the so on and so forth. The silver lining to that is that when Jo Jorgensen gets into office, she can just start undoing all of those burdensome regulations. Not all regulations, but all of the burdensome ones. Anything that is not a net benefit to the public good or the public safety and is really just a drag on the economy and on the people and their ability to thrive and be able to build their own solutions, all that's gone. She can get rid of all of it. She has the executive authority. They created the laws that say that these people serve at her pleasure and regulate at her discretion. So she'll be able to, re-regulate all or most of that in the form of really just undoing a lot of bad regulations. That includes ending the wars and bringing the troops home. The UAMF, or AUMF, the authorization of use of military force, is not a declaration of war, which would require Congress to declare an end to the wars.
Right.
It simply lets the president decide at her discretion when the war's end.
Right.
She can just say, war's over, time to come home. So
Yeah.
that's a perfect example of that. The ATF, we don't actually need them to, now we'd like them to change the gun laws, but she can simply fire everyone in the ATF. She can undo all of the ATF regulations. She can tell anyone else in federal law enforcement that she'd be keeping that they cannot enforce any federal gun laws. The Department of Justice will decline to prosecute, and order them to not cooperate with state law enforcement to enforce their gun laws. That we will also decline to enforce or prosecute. So there are a lot of things that can be done at the executive level. And when the American people see the immediate and profound benefit of this massive handing of power back to the American people, in their hands where it always belonged, the money and the power and the decision-making ability and the freedom, taking that out of the hands of the politicians and the cronies and the bureaucratic class and putting it back in their hands. When they see that immediate and profound benefit, that will create a tidal wave that we will be able to ride all the way to Capitol Hill of people saying, yeah, we want more of that and we want this stuff to be permanent. And that will allow us to go to Congress and say, hey, listen, we've just drawn a line in the sand. We're on this side of the line with everyone else in Congress who wants to work with us to help to continue to remove the boot from the neck of the people so that they can thrive and prosper in ways that right now aren't even possible, and to make the changes that we've made permanent at the legislative level. And you can choose to be on that line with us, or you can be on this other side of the line with the people who want to keep that boot on the neck of the people and to allow continued needless suffering for no other reason than to preserve their own wealth and power and influence in that of their favored cronies. I think we win that debate every time.